why is it that the absolute fastest way to make an audience fall in love with a character is to watch them just completely spectacularly fail at flirting?
Oh, it's the truest thing in television.
Right. Welcome to this deep dive. I mean, think about it for a second. In our own lives, we want the lighting to be perfect. We want the witty banter to flow effortlessly, you know?
Yeah, we want to look incredibly cool doing it.
Exactly. The idea of like stumbling over our words on a date is genuinely terrifying to us.
Oh, nightmare fuel.
Total nightmare. But when it comes to the stories we consume, we have this undeniable, almost gravitational pull toward watching people's romantic lives just implode into awkward misunderstandings.
We really do. We just can't look away.
So today we are tearing into the anatomy of this sitcom romantic disaster. Specifically, we've got this fascinating summary of a legendary episode of Friends, and it serves as an absolute masterclass in why trying to control love is, well, basically the funniest thing a human being can attempt.
It really is a brilliant cross-section of human folly. Because, when you strip away the laugh track in the 90s fashion...
Which is iconic, by the way.
Oh, totally iconic.
Yeah.
But when you strip that away, what you're actually watching in this source material is a deeply accurate psychological study.
Right.
It shows the different mechanisms people use to try to manage their romantic lives. And, more importantly, why every single one of those mechanisms is fundamentally doomed to fail.
Doomed, like 100% failure rate.
Exactly. I mean, we try to use logic, we try to use scripts, we try to use professional boundaries, all to domesticate something that is just inherently wild.
Yes. And to kick this off, we really have to talk about Rachel and Tag, because this is the ultimate example of trying to legislate your own feelings with pure logic.
Oh, it's so painful to watch in the best way.
It is. So Rachel hires this handsome new assistant named Tag. And the moment he walks in, the attraction is just palpable. Like everyone in the room knows it immediately.
You can basically cut the tension with a knife.
Right. But Rachel decides she's going to build this impenetrable wall of professionalism. She tells herself, I am the boss, he is the employee, we will keep this strictly business.
Which is a classic trap.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously, the harder she tries to enforce that rule, the faster she starts falling for him. I was thinking about this, and it reminds me of, like, buying a Ferrari.
Okay, a Ferrari.
Yeah, you buy a Ferrari, and you promise yourself you'll only ever drive it under 20 miles per hour in a school zone.
That is a terrible idea.
Right. It's a boundary designed to fail. You think you're in control by keeping it slow, but all you're really doing is revving the engine.
Yeah.
The harder you push down on that professional boundary, the more violent and chaotic the emotional snapback is going to be.
That Ferrari metaphor is actually perfect for what's happening psychologically here. Rachel's experiencing this really profound tension between rational intent and emotional reality.
Yeah.
She's attempting to use a sterile societal framework, the whole boss-assistant dynamic, to intellectually contain a highly primal reaction.
Which just doesn't work.
Not at all. It's impossible because the container she's chosen simply isn't strong enough to hold the emotion she's actually feeling. The engine is going to rev, to use your metaphor.
But why is it so fun for us to watch her struggle with it? Like, we see her squirming, trying to maintain this I am a serious professional face while she's clearly melting inside. And it's just comedy gold.
Because it forces the character to actively live out a contradiction. I mean, Rachel has to pretend she doesn't feel what we, the audience, explicitly know she is feeling.
We're all in on the secret.
Exactly. She's frantically constructing this facade. And the distinct pleasure for the viewer is the dramatic irony of watching that facade slowly crack. We know she's doomed long before she admits it to herself.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's comforting because we all do this in our own lives.
Yeah.
Think about you, listening right now. Have you ever tried to intellectually enforce a boundary that your emotions had already completely ignored?
Oh, absolutely. You tell yourself, oh, we are just friends. I am definitely not going to text them back for at least 3 hours to show how busy and aloof I am.
All right, the classic waiting game.
Exactly. But meanwhile, your heart has already named your imaginary future golden retriever together.
That is so true.
You're trying to play 4D chess, but your emotions just flip the board over entirely.
Precisely. We try to hold back the emotional tide with a logical broom. And the reason we laugh so hard at Rachel is because we recognize our own futile attempts at control. We're laughing at the sheer absurdity of thinking the human brain can outsmart the human heart.
Okay, so if Rachel is the ultimate example of trying to suppress your internal emotions and failing spectacularly, What happens when you completely abandon your internal compass? Like
Yeah.
when you just try to outsource your entire romantic personality to someone else?
Oh, you mean the Joey and Ross situation?
Yes, because that takes us directly into what Russ is dealing with,
Right. So Ross is in a deeply vulnerable state here. He's trying to navigate the dating world post-divorce.
which is tough.
It's incredibly tough. He feels out of practice. He's highly anxious, and his confidence is just fundamentally shattered. So naturally, he turns to the most confident person he knows for a survival guide.
Joey.
Exactly.
Joey.
Right. He asks Joey for his legendary flirting techniques, and this leads to a string of just painful, embarrassing situations for Ross. But wait, I really have to stop and unpack this for a second.
Sure, cut.
Because I genuinely want to push back on the premise of Joey as this, like, master of romance that the group thinks he is.
Okay, I'm listening.
If Joey's techniques are supposedly so foolproof, why do they immediately turn Ross into a walking disaster? I mean, is flirting actually a translatable, teachable skill, or is Joey just running a massive, mathematically relentless numbers game and Ross is the one getting caught in the crossfire of bad advice?
I love that you brought that up, actually, because it hits on a core truth about human interaction that we see in the summary. It's the massive difference between authenticity and impersonation.
Impersonation, yeah. See, the secret to Joey's success has almost nothing to do with the actual mechanics of his techniques.
Wait, really?
Really, it's not the specific phrasing he uses or, the angle he leans on a doorway.
Mm-hmm.
His success is entirely rooted in his innate, almost unshakable self-belief.
Huh.
He genuinely believes in the persona he projects, and that total conviction is what makes the other person buy into it.
Oh, wow. So it's the swagger, not the script. Like, the words are almost irrelevant. It's the sheer audacity of how he delivers them.
Exactly. Now take that formula and hand it to Ross.
Oh, boy.
Ross is highly analytical, deeply insecure at this moment in his life, and naturally prone to overthinking. When an anxious person tries to put on the skin of a hyper-confident person, it's like putting on a bespoke suit that was tailored for someone a foot taller than you.
That is such a good visual. It just hangs off and completely wrong.
Right. The mismatch between the underlying personality and the external technique creates instant friction. And that friction translates into comedy. When you can literally see the gears grinding in Ross's head.
Yes. He's doing the math on flirting while he's actively in the middle of a conversation. You can see it in his eyes, like, okay, carry the one, make intense eye contact, lean in at exactly 45 degrees.
Lower voice pitch by 2 octaves.
Yes, it is excruciating to watch.
Because he's trying to execute a rigid formula rather than actually inhabiting the present moment. I call this the borrowed charisma trap.
Borrowed charisma trap, I like that.
When you borrow someone else's charisma, you don't actually inherit their underlying confidence. You just inherit their script.
Right.
And the moment that script encounters a real-world variable it wasn't programmed to handle, the entire system collapses. There is no foundation of genuine self-assurance to keep the conversation standing.
Which perfectly sets up what might be the absolute pinnacle of the scripted romance disaster in this whole deep dive.
Oh, the backpacking story.
The backpacking story. The theory of borrowed charisma gets put to the ultimate field test when Ross decides to deploy Joey's most famous closely guarded weapon, the backpacking through Western Europe story.
It is legendary. It's engineered to be this sweeping, irresistible, emotionally resonant tale that instantly generates intimacy.
Right. So Ross memorizes it. He takes it on a date, the lighting is dim, he leans in, he deploys the story, and it goes horribly, irreversibly wrong.
So wrong.
Because he happens to use it on a woman who actually knows more about Europe than he does. I honestly think about this scenario all the time.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It is exactly like memorizing a very specific, complicated 15-button cheat code for a video game boss.
Yes.
You walk into the arena, you input the sequence perfectly, up, up, down, down, left, right, and you suddenly realize the boss is completely immune to that specific attack.
You're just totally defenseless.
You are left standing there, completely unarmed, with absolutely no backup strategy, just frantically mashing buttons while your health bar plummets to 0.
That is a phenomenal analogy. Because it completely captures the extreme vulnerability of relying on a prepackaged script. When Ross uses that story, he is trying to take a shortcut to vulnerability.
Oh, that's a great point.
He wants the final result. He wants the deep romantic connection, the awe in her eyes, the intimacy. But he doesn't want to do any of the actual terrifying work of being genuinely vulnerable or
It's
interesting.
treating the date like a vending machine.
Exactly.
Like, put the emotionally manipulative story into the slot and just wait for the romance to drop out of the bottom.
But the vending machine is broken,
Yeah.
and it's suddenly asking him for a detailed geographical map of Barcelona.
And he doesn't even know what currency they use.
Right. The narrative brilliantly punishes Ross for attempting that shortcut. The moment his date starts fact-checking his emotional tale, the script shatters into a million pieces.
Yeah.
And because the memory was never his to begin with, he has absolutely zero organic material to fall back on. He can't improvise. The well is completely dry.
It's so awkward.
It is. And if we connect this to you, the listener, in your own life, this is a universal fear. Think about the times you've heavily relied on a script in a high-stakes environment.
Oh.
Maybe it was a crucial job interview, a master presentation to your boss, or even a high-pressure first date. You rehearse your lines in the mirror, you have your bullet points memorized.
Oh, I'm getting a cold sweat just thinking about it.
It's terrifying.
It really is. The sheer existential panic when you deliver your perfectly rehearsed, polished insight, and the person sitting across from you leans in and says, "Oh, that's fascinating. I actually wrote my doctoral thesis on that exact subject."
The absolute worst.
Can you elaborate deeply on your methodology for that conclusion? You don't just want to leave the room, you want the floor to open up and swallow you into the Earth's core.
Yes, because you haven't just been caught in a minor factual error. You've been caught performing. You've been exposed as inauthentic. You were wearing a mask and it just slipped off in public.
Wow, yeah.
And what makes this entire storyline elevate from funny to genius is the secondary reveal. The humor absolutely compounds when the rest of the group discovers that Joey has been using this exact same Western Europe story for years.
It totally demystifies him.
It really does.
We spent the whole time thinking Joey was this innate maestro of romance, an artist painting on the canvas of human connection. But it turns out his magic is just a tired, recycled cassette tape that he's been hitting play on over and over again for a decade.
It levels the playing field completely. It reveals that even the so-called master is terrified of genuine vulnerability.
Right.
Joey isn't constantly innovating or connecting deeply with these women. He just stumbled upon one single cheat code that worked most of the time, and he clung to it like a life raft.
Which makes Ross's failure with the script even funnier because it highlights that the script itself was inherently cheap to begin with.
Precisely.
Okay, so Ross gets completely crushed under the weight of a rigid, borrowed script. But the alternative isn't exactly a walk in the park either.
Not at all.
Because if we look at what Phoebe and Rachel are doing, we see that abandoning the script entirely and going with improvised chaos creates absolute anarchy.
Total anarchy.
We move from the catastrophic failure of rigid systems to the wild, unpredictable danger of improvised charm.
And this is where the structural genius of an ensemble cast really shines. You get to contrast these wildly different approaches to human interaction in real time.
So let's start with Phoebe. She decides she is going to help Chandler and Monica by using her own unique brand of playful, over-the-top flirting.
Right.
But because she is Phoebe, her behavior doesn't smooth things out. It leaves everyone in the room deeply uncomfortable, sweating, and completely bewildered, but wildly entertained.
Phoebe operates as the ultimate disruptor in this social ecosystem. Where Ross is paralyzed by the anxiety of trying to do things correctly and follow the rules of dating, Phoebe completely rejects the concept that rules even exist.
She really does.
She uses flirting almost as an avant-garde performance art. The reason it makes Chandler and Monica so uncomfortable is that they are desperately trying to adhere to standard social contracts.
Right, the polite back and forth.
Exactly. They expect conversations to go A, B, C. Phoebe comes in and goes AQ, banana.
A banana, exactly.
She forces them out of their comfort zones by actively subverting the very social norms they rely on to feel safe.
It's like everyone else is playing a highly competitive game of chess, and Phoebe just walks up, eats one of the pawns, and declares checkmate.
That's exactly it.
You don't even know how to respond to it.
Yeah.
And then, on the complete opposite end of the improvised spectrum, you have Rachel trying to be smooth.
Oh, Rachel.
She's trying to flirt with a doctor. She's trying to be charming with customers at work. She's trying to impress this incredibly handsome guy, Joshua. And every single attempt devolves into an absolute comedy of errors.
It's a disaster.
But here's the thing I really want to dig into from the source material. It's the paradox of her awkwardness. Despite the fact that she fails to execute a single smooth interaction, It actually makes her look incredibly adorable to the audience.
It does.
Why does her failure make us like her more?
That specific paradox is the secret engine that powers the entire romantic comedy genre. It really is a fundamental truth of human psychology.
Okay, tell me more.
As an audience, and frankly as human beings, we don't actually fall in love with perfection. Perfection is intimidating. It's cold. We fall in love with the gap between intention and execution.
The gap between intention and execution. Wow. Break that down for me. How does that gap build affection?
Let's look at Rachel trying to impress Joshua. Her intention in her mind is to be this seductive, impossibly cool, mysterious woman who is entirely in control of the dynamic.
Right. The James Bond of flirting.
Exactly. That's the intention.
Horror.
But her execution is clumsy, frantic, nervous, and totally transparent. She trips over her words, she over-explains, she does something physically awkward.
Yeah, she just can't play it cool.
But that massive gap between the James Bond she desperately wants to be and the flustered, messy human she actually is exactly where vulnerability lives. And vulnerability is the primary currency of affection.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
We do not root for a flawless machine. We root for someone who is trying really, really hard and messing up, because that reflects our own internal experience.
Wow. When she fails at being a smooth operator, she accidentally succeeds at being human.
Beautifully put.
And being human is what makes her adorable. Like, we laugh at her slipping on the metaphorical banana peel, but simultaneously, we want to give her a massive hug because we've all been the person on the floor covered in banana.
Exactly. The writers use that gap masterfully. If Rachel were perfectly smooth and managed to effortlessly seduce Joshua and charm every customer without breaking a sweat, she wouldn't be relatable.
She'd be kind of annoying, actually.
She would be intimidating, or perhaps even unlikable. Her awkwardness is a necessary bridge to the audience's empathy. We love her because she fails, not in spite of it.
So when we pull all these threads together from this deep dive, what we're really looking at is a staggering exploration of the human experience, just brilliantly disguised as 22 minutes of television comedy.
Absolutely.
You have Rachel desperately trying to compress the spring of her own emotions with Tag, fighting a losing battle against her own crush under the guise of professional boundaries.
And you have Ross trying to navigate the terrifying waters of post-divorce dating by wearing Joey's charisma like a poorly fitted suit, which leads to the absolute catastrophic collapse of the backpacking through Western Europe cheat code.
Followed by the beautiful avant-garde chaos of Phoebe burning the social contract to the ground.
Yes.
And Rachel leaving a trail of awkward destruction in her wake while trying to be smooth with Joshua. Every single one of them finds themselves in a trap of their own making, impossible to escape without looking utterly ridiculous.
They really do.
They prove that when it comes to love, you just fundamentally cannot manage the unmanageable.
That is the core takeaway. Love, attraction, and genuine human connection are inherently, permanently messy.
They are a mess.
They do not respond to logic. They do not respond to scripts or professional guardrails. The more these characters try to sanitize or control the chaotic nature of romance, the more ridiculous they look, and the more deeply entertaining it is for us to watch.
It really is just a mirror held up to our own frantic dating lives. Except, they have much better lighting and an audience laughing at their pain.
True.
We love watching it because it offers us validation. It says, look, even these gorgeous, witty people on television have absolutely no idea what they're doing. We're all just flying blind.
It is deeply comforting. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to chew on.
I love these.
In our own lives, we spend an inordinate amount of time agonizing over our romantic missteps. We lie awake at 2 a.m. replaying that awkward first date in our heads.
Oh, the 2 a.m. cringe is real.
We cringe at the terrible, unfunny joke we told